Top 5 world's deadliest vipers. Venomcentral is going to break it down to you. Hey y'all, Willie at Venomcentral here. If you're new to the channel, hit the V logo and subscribe now. You don't want to miss this stuff. But anyways, I want to give a big shout out to some of my supporters, the Venom Squad. We love all you guys. But Kevin and Trisha Gallman, thank you for your generous donation to Venomcentral. And Patrick Mullahan, dude, thank you, bro. Patrick, we love you, Big Daddy. Hey, and thank you to our newest Venom Squad member and supporter, Chris Richards. Thank you, brother, for your generous support. Hang in there, Chris. We got a lot of stuff coming, Big Daddy. Thank you, bro. Today, we're doing the top 5 deadliest vipers in the world. I live with these animals. I'm with these animals every day. And I don't have just like, oh, I've got a pair of Bushmasters. I have a no. I've got multitudes. I've got a bunch of them, okay? This is my life. This is my job. This is what I do. I mean, we got 30 Bushmasters. We got 20-something Bothrop species. We got a bunch of venomous snakes. I live with these things on a day-to-day basis. I work with them 8 to 10 hours a day. So I'm going to tell you this from experience. And there's an organization that I belong to, and I keep up with this constantly, something that I submit a lot of my data to. And I'm going to give you the up-to-date status on venom and on everything that entails, okay? Like, a lot of guys will use that, you know, they're trying to sound important. Well, the LD50 of this snake is this much. Let me tell y'all something. LD50 literally stands for lethal dose per 50% of prey items that this animal has consumed or animal has killed over a period of time. And it's just drop per drop. And they kind of gauge a toxicity on that. But when it comes to a human, that LD50 means 0. It means nothing, okay? What matters is the yield. How much hurt juice an animal puts out. That's what's important. And what it does to our body. Say like an inland taipan, LD50 can be like 5,000 mice per or something, you know, it's something outrageous. But it only puts out so much of a yield. Versus like, say, a king brown or a king cobra that puts out a massive amount, a big yield, which is going to kill you a lot quicker because it's a whole lot more hurt juice run through your system than something with a smaller yield. So the way we're going to judge our snakes today is literally going to go like this, okay? We're going to start with range, distribution, how prevalent they are, just how many times these snakes may be encountered, and how many people this snake reaches, just how many people this snake can possibly come in contact with. That's going to be the first thing we're going to go over is range, okay, distribution. Next, we're going to go over the venom components, the toxins, okay, and the yield of the venom, okay? That's a big one, okay? And also, we're going to talk about the delivery system, you know, how it gets injected in your body, fang comparison, fang sizes, because I've got fangs of all these animals, okay? And I've seen a couple videos that I watched this week where guys are going, the Bushmaster has the largest fangs and this one, and they're wrong. I don't care what anybody says. I've got hundreds and hundreds of fangs. I've got jars full of them. I've been collecting them for 37 years, okay? And the mortality rate, okay? How much death happens because of that certain snake. I mean, I'm talking about now mortality rate. I'm not talking about third world countries, people that can't get antivenom. I'm talking about with antivenom. I'm talking about with medical attention right after a bite. I'm talking about, okay, you get bit, you've got antivenom, you still may die because the snake is just that toxic and it puts out that much of a yield and it works that quickly. That's a big one when it comes to vipers, okay? And next we're going to talk about behavior. We're going to talk about just how cheeky some of these guys are, just how apt they are to strike, bite, and just behavior, and just how that makes a big difference in some animals. Some animals are less inclined to bite you than others. You know, some snakes you can damn near step on them and they ain't gonna bite you. Some will bite you just out of a fear factor. Others will bite you thinking that you're a prey source, just mistaken identity. So we're gonna encumber all of that into our top 5 and give you the reasons why this is what the top 5 truly is. Let's get to it. We're gonna pull out some snakes. We're gonna start with 5 and work our way up to 1. So we're gonna hit it and we're gonna have some fun, and hopefully these snakes cooperate, because I'm gonna be hiding behind my damn barrier with some snakes out. And I gotta pull out some bad ones today, so hopefully we do this where Dina can film it, because she's gonna be way back there and looking over a barrier and trying to shoot this stuff. So hang in there, guys. We're gonna get with it and we're gonna have some fun. Okay, Venom Squad, number 5 on the list. Now, this is the Crowless Dorissus dryanis. Okay, now the Neotropical rattlesnakes in a whole. Now, there are several subspecies, and they range anywhere from Mexico all the way down into Central and South America. And they actually cover a wide range between all the subspecies. And they're held accountable for a lot of bites, okay? And this is a serious bite. Now, you know, everybody's always, you know, here in the United States, our Mojave rattlesnake, our Crowless scutellus is, you know, it's one of the most venomous rattlesnakes. And that holds true. Now, the scoot is a venomous rattlesnake. It's a hot little son of a bitch, okay? Because it holds a neurotoxic component in its venom. But this is like our Mojave on steroids, okay? The Neotropical rattlesnakes are very, very hot, okay? Their venom is literally comprised of a bunch of different components, which makes this snake so toxic, okay? Nephrotoxins, myotoxins, procoagulants, it's hemorrhagic. The big one is the neurotoxin component in it, you know? And it's a gambit of all the components together that makes this snake so dangerous, okay? And the thing is this snake's venom varies from location to location, from country to country, depending on the subspecies. Now, we believe that the Yucatan rattlesnake, which comes from the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, is one of the most venomous of the Neotropical rattlesnakes. Even though the Yucatan isn't in the same, it's not in the Dorissus family anymore, it's not in the Simus family anymore, they got it as it's just Crowless Zobcon now. It's still a Neotropical rattlesnake, but it is very, very venomous. And we've got a bunch of them. I mean, we've got like over 15 of them. I mean, we breed them. And you see some of my past videos, I've got some monsters. We got some big ones. And we got a mama getting ready to have babies here like any day. But this snake, the bite can be fatal. It's a lethal bite. And now, mortality rate, you know, when it comes to Neotropical rattlesnakes, this is a kill bite, okay? But what makes it a problem, their venom components vary from area to area, and we're not sure if certain antivenoms are gonna work on certain species. So that's what makes them so damn dangerous. But this guy kills enough people, okay? And as far as the venom, what's important with this one is the yield also. Now, with this species, with the Dorissus and all of its subspecies, the yield can vary from, you know, maybe 100 to 250 milligrams. But the Zobcon, an adult Zobcon, ranges all the way up to 1,550 milligrams. That's a whole lot of hurt juice, okay? And it's a very toxic hurt juice. It's very wide ranged, okay? The venom is very, very toxic. Also, delivery system. Now, the fangs of this snake aren't terribly large, but they're big enough to get deep into tissue and envenomate you. Okay, and I've got fangs for every snake that we're going to pull out today. I've got fangs from these actual snakes. And we're going to do a fang comparison at the end of this video and showing you all the stages on the different sizes of the fangs, the difference in a delivery system, okay? And when it comes to behavior of your Neotropical rattlesnakes, now it varies, okay? And it varies by individual. Like, you know, this snake is just content. It's just going to chill out. She's a good girl. This is one of our breeder females. And they can vary from species to species, but let me tell you, it depends on the animal. Now, as a whole, they can be kind of cheeky, okay? But once they've been in captivity a while, they calm down. Captive-born animals calm down, but to encounter one in the wild, they can be pretty nasty. I mean, buzzing, letting you know they're there, repeated strikes, but they're not as cheeky as some of the other Central South American vipers. So their behavior of these guys, they're not known to be terribly just, okay, they're a mean rattlesnake. They're impossible to deal with. Their behavior is not that bad, but you still wouldn't want to give them an opportunity to tag you, but depends on individuality with these animals. I've got some that are, they're pretty damn mean, okay, and they'll tag you the first chance they get. But I've got other ones that are just pretty placid, like this one right here, you know. I mean, compared to some of the other vipers in the tropics, these guys tend to be a little more chill. So that's what pushes them down the scale to number 5, compared to, say, a Bothrops. Bothrops are all red line. They're all red line, just psycho, and yeah, there's nothing chill about a Bothrops. These guys, not too bad. So this snake ranks number 5 on Venomcentral's scale of the most dangerous vipers in the world. So, but let me tell you, now don't forget about the Yucatan rattlesnake. That one is probably the most venomous out of all of the Neotropical rattlesnakes. So number 5 on the list, we're going to move on to the next snake. Okay, and for snake number 4 on Venomcentral's list is the Gaboon Viper. Now, whether it be the Bitis gabonica or the Bitis rhinoceros, which is your East African and West African Gaboon Vipers, this guy earns his spot as number 4, and this is why. First of all, range. This guy is pretty wide range. Between the two subspecies, they cover a great deal of range in Africa, okay? And they don't get encountered as much as some of your other African species, though. I mean, this snake's pretty elusive. It's not really seen too much, and bites are often rare, especially with gaboons. It's because they're in such remote areas, and they don't like do real well in areas that are habitated by people. These guys they like their privacy. They like the rainforest. They like thick brush. So they're really good at hiding, but their cryptic coloration is one of their danger factors also. I mean, bites that happen from these guys are usually from people stepping on them. And as placid as this animal is, what makes this guy dangerous is his fangs. He's got massive fangs. I mean, this snake has a set of 2-inch fangs. There's been fangs recorded up to 2 inches long. And when we pull some fangs out, you're going to see we've got some big ones. Now, yield. That's a big one with the Gaboon. The yield is massive. I mean, this snake puts out a bunch of hurt juice. It actually, I mean, between the two species, the gabonica and the rhinoceros, I mean, we're going anywhere from 750 milligrams to 2,400 milligrams. That's massive. That's a lot of venom. And the thing with gaboons is, when they strike, they don't just bite and let go. They bite and they hang on and they keep envenomating. So even with antivenom, okay, you're going to lose a limb. The venom is the big one, okay? Venom is the big one with the Gaboon, even though bites are rare, and bites can be fatal. Bites are fatal, okay? Even with antivenom. But the thing is this guy's venom is a cocktail of several different substances that make it just that nasty. But, you know, you're most likely going to lose a limb because their venom contains so much stuff in it. I mean, it's cytotoxic, okay? And even with antivenom, you're probably going to lose a limb. And the cardiotoxins in it, the necrotoxins, it's procoagulant, it's anticoagulant, it's got a bunch of stuff in it. Look at him, he's like, I'm going to be good. Now, I'm trying to pull out individuals that are mild-mannered, so they'll sit still for me. But you can hear them huffing a little bit. But the thing is, with a cytotoxic venom, Now that's killing stuff on the cellular level. So that's what makes this snake so damn dangerous, is like, if you are unlucky enough to suffer a bite from a gaboon, even with antivenom, there's massive tissue damage and you're probably going to lose a limb. So that earns him the spot of number 4 on Venomcentral's scale of the most dangerous vipers on earth. But another thing with gaboons is size. They get massive. I mean, and they get girthy. They get big and they put out a huge yield. So this guy, number 4, he earns his spot. But what a cool snake, right? I mean, these guys are awesome. I mean, it's actually one of my favorite species. I love gaboons. And he's caterpillar crawling. He's content to just kind of crawl around and check out his environment. Now, temperament and behavior with these guys, okay? Now, they're reluctant to bite. I mean, you see a lot of guys free handling gaboons, but the bad part of that is if they do decide to bite, gaboons have the capability to strike in the craziest directions. If you watch some of my old feeding videos, you'll see that. I mean, these guys can strike upside down and backwards. They literally can strike in the craziest directions. They can strike straight up, backwards. It's just, that's what makes them so damn dangerous. And a bite from one is horrific. Would just be horrific. Them big fangs sinking deep into tissue, and they're not letting go. They're gonna keep envenomating. I mean, they're number 2 on the scale for venom yield. I mean, next to a king cobra. So there's no way off of that. I mean, and once that venom's running through your veins, there's no way to stop it. And it being cytotoxic, it's killing on a cellular level. So the venom's bad stuff. But as far as encountering a gaboon, you know, they don't kill a bunch of people and their behavior isn't that bad. I mean, they're not a really cheeky snake. I mean, you damn near have to step on one and get them to bite you, but that doesn't mean that they won't bite you, okay? So, the Gaboon Viper, see, now he's getting a little bit pissed. You hear that heavy breathing. Now, I'm going to tell you, that's his alarm, is that, that heavy breathing. That's when they're telling you, okay, I'm not going to take it too much longer. That's letting you know that they're getting a little bit pissed and they don't want to be monkeyed with. And just to show you another Gaboon Viper. Now, this one's a little cheeky. So just to show you that they're not all placid and they're not all, you know, just very laid back. They can actually be pretty nasty when they want to be. This one's just very ill-tempered. And you can see by the huffing and puffing and carrying on that this snake's doing, that this snake will bite you in a heartbeat. You kind of got to keep this snake under control. But this is one of the ones that's a fine candidate to bite you. So they're not all laid back, they're not all docile. It depends on the animal, the individual animal. Some of them are chill, some of them are just flat out just cheeky. Some of them are just mean. But this is a beautiful specimen. This is a male that I produced a couple years back. It's okay, Bubba. And that huffing is that's his warning. Like, if you come near me, I'm gonna light you up. This is one of my holdback males. And you can see that behavior. Alright, buddy. And we're doing our best to keep this guy calm. But what a cool snake. That's one of my favorite snakes of all time. I love gaboons. I've bred tons of them. And but let me tell you, What an awesome animal. I love Gaboon Vipers. This guy here is number 4 on our top 5 deadliest vipers in the world. Okay guys, snake number 3 in the top 5 deadliest vipers in the world. Now, this is what we call the Ferdelance. Now, this happens to be Bothrops brazili. Now, when we say Ferdelance, it's kind of the slang name for your lance-headed vipers. The true Ferdelance, the name was coined by a Frenchman. The Martinique Island viper, I believe it was. The Martinique Island lancehead. It's actually the Bothrops lanceolatus. And we've got several species of Bothrops. I mean, we breed Mugeni, brazili, Lachesis, and we got monster Lachesis. But the Ferdelance, now your lance-headed vipers, these guys are responsible for more snake bites in their range. There are so many different subspecies of Ferdelance, of Bothrops, that they cover a very wide range, starting from Central all the way down into South America. You got your very large Bothrops asper, which is also called the Ferdelance, starts all the way from Central America and works down into South America. And now these things have a wide range, and they're encountered all the time because they inhabit almost every habitat possible. There's a variation that adapts to every habitat. So this guy bites a lot of people, okay? And now let me tell you the damn venom components in this. It's a nasty cocktail. I mean, bites are so necrotic that you're most likely going to lose a limb. I mean, it's a nasty cocktail. And what's interesting about the venom of Bothrops, especially like your Bothrops atrox, Bothrops asper, Bothrops brazili, your Bothrops Lachesis, Bothrops mugeni, is they're not really immune to their own venom. They kill each other. I've seen them kill each other in a captive setting. And I mean, I've had Bothrops kill each other. I mean, an accidental bite, a food aggression bite, it doesn't matter. When they envenomate each other, it's fatal. They kill each other. But a lot of bites are fatal. This is a kill bite. The venom is very toxic, okay? So, getting to the next thing, the delivery system. This is a big one with this snake right here. Now, the delivery system, fangs of the Bothrops are huge, okay? Now, the Gaboon Viper is known to have like the largest fangs out of all of our snakes on our list now. But I'm gonna tell you something. This guy runs a close second. Everybody thinks that Bushmaster fangs are bigger than Bothrops fangs, but we're gonna do the comparison. I'm gonna show you Bushmaster fangs compared to Bothrops fangs. And I've got fangs from snakes of similar size. Bothrops fangs are huge. The delivery system is second to none. I mean, they got daggers and their fangs are almost straight. Where a Gaboon fang is curved, these things are like, they're like switchblades and they're long. I mean, you're gonna freak out when you see just how long Ferdelance fangs are. They're massive. So they got a very good delivery system. And now the mortality rate, even with medical treatment, people die from this snake bite. The big one with this one also is temperament and behavior. Okay, with the venom being as toxic as it is with these guys, one of the big factors that puts this snake on our scale is the yield. The venom yield itself, it's massive. Okay, I mean, look at the head on this rascal. I mean, they have monster heads, okay? All your Bothrops, your lance-headed vipers, have a huge head that, you know, carries them huge switchblades of fangs and massive venom glands. They put out high yields. That's why mortality rate is normally high with Bothrops. But I'm gonna tell you, like the geographic, it's like 1,000 milligrams. That's massive. The Bothrops mugeni can be as high as 1,750 milligrams. The Lachesis, I think it was 23 to 2,400 milligrams. Like our big Lachesis, we're gonna pop a little bit of video of her in there. I mean, she's a monster. I mean, we can't get her out and lay her like this out here because she is wild. I mean, it's just too damn dangerous. That snake is wild and it's very aggressive. We're gonna get into behavior here in a minute. But Bothrops asper, which is one of the largest of your lanceheads, largest of your Ferdelance species, 1,530 milligrams. But mind you now, this changes day to day from species to species. It depends on which animal is getting extracted and measuring things up. But this is a roundabout, okay? This study changes constantly. But that's a huge, huge yield. And the thing is you get pumped with that much venom and you're on the clock, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble, even with antivenom. I mean, so it's a massive amount of venom, a very toxic cocktail, and it's very necrotic, and it kills tissue, and I mean, it's a bad bite. When it comes to behavior and this snake's general attitude, this is what makes it very dangerous. You're gonna say, well, that snake's just laying there like it's dead. Well, I'm gonna tell you something. This is an exception to the rule, okay? And that's why we chose the Bothrops brazili, this certain one, for this video, because she's big, she's pretty, she is just as chill as can be. It's scary because you never know when she's gonna explode, when something's gonna spook her and she's gonna go into full scale crazy. But let me tell you, she's an exception to the rule. 99% of Bothrops are wiry, wild snakes. I work with them every day. Let me tell you something. First, they'll try to get away from you. They're going to try this. They're going to try the flight. And then as you're trying to subdue them, you're trying to get them back in the cage, you're trying to do whatever you need to do with them, and they figure out that you're bigger than they are, and they get spooked, and then they turn on you, and then they're going to fight. They come at you with their mouth wide open, repeated strikes, and they're not afraid of you. They're coming for you, directly at you with their mouth wide open like this. Bothrops are freaking crazy. Handling snakes is what I do. I've been doing this 37 years. Bothrops scare me. Bothrops are one of the craziest snakes to work with. I mean, to get bit by one would be a nightmare. But I'm going to tell you, I deal with this nightmare daily. So that's why the Bothrops asper, the Bothrops leocorus, the Mugeni, all the Ferdelance, things we call the Ferdelance, they are so damn dangerous. That's why they earn number 3 on the top 5, okay? And like I said, she's an exception to the rule. This girl, we actually call her Gumby because she's very lazy. But she has the capability of explosion. I think we just did it in one of our last videos, feeding this girl. She's got a nasty strike and a nasty bite. I mean, repeated strikes and bites. I mean, the food aggression is crazy. But very dangerous snake, nothing to play with. If you don't know what you're doing with these, leave them alone, okay? But number 3 on our top 5, the Ferdelance. Next snake coming up, so don't run off, guys. We got some good ones coming out next. Okay, guys, snake number 2 on the 5 deadliest vipers in the world. Now, of course, it's the puff adder. Now, the Bitis arietans, the African puff adder. This snake is responsible for more deaths in Africa than any other snake, okay? And everybody thinks that it's the soft scale viper, and the soft scale viper's up there, but it's not. It's the puff adder. 50% of all envenomations by puff adders on people die, and that's fact. That's the numbers. Now, University of San Diego, the medical venomous toxinology department, they run studies and all this stuff, and I go a lot by their numbers. And let me tell you, 50% of envenomations die. That's horrible. And that's a big number. But starting out with this snake's range, okay? This snake is widespread throughout Africa. Now, it's a very prolific snake, and it also is a very grumpy snake, okay? But attributing to its range, and its people run into this snake quite a bit. That's why it's number 1 for snake bite and snake death in Africa. But let me tell you, this snake is capable of living anywhere. I mean, the only place that they're not encountered is like thick rainforest. They like rocky scrubland. They can inhabit a lot of different habitat. So that's why they're encountered so frequently. And they are grumpy. They're just downright grumpy. I mean, not so much like some other species like a saw-scale viper, but these guys were quick to defend themselves, and they're not hitting you with a dry bite. They're biting it and they mean it. Repeated strikes. And also an interesting thing is this snake is also known for having one of the fastest strikes in the world. Now, here's an interesting fact, guys. The fastest strike ever timed, okay, is a rat snake. But the puff adder strike is blinding speed. But range makes them a player on this list because they're so widespread and they're so prolific and there's a lot of them. But the big thing with puffs and what makes them so damn dangerous is the venom, okay? The toxicity of the venom is through the roof, okay? It's a special kind of venom that a puff adder carries. And this one's actually behaving today. This is a big gravid female. You can see here, she's full of babies. She's due, let me see here, she bred, she's only 4 months in, so she's got a little ways to go, but she's already starting to show. But getting back on point, me not talking about my breeding projects. The big one with the puff is the venom, okay? It's a cytotoxic venom, which means it kills stuff on a cellular level. It kills cells. There's no coming back from that. I mean, once a cell is dead, it's dead. You're not going to rejuvenate a cell. So literally what happens is wherever you get bit, you're probably going to lose that body part or that limb if you don't die. Now, 50% of people envenomated by puff adders die. That's with antivenom and that's with medical treatment. So that makes this guy a big player. And he's responsible for more deaths in Africa than any other snake. But you know, the venom is not only cytotoxic, it's necrotoxic, it's nephrotoxic, it's myotoxic. And the yield of this guy's venom is up there. They put out a lot of hurt juice. I mean, ranging from anywhere from 750 to 900 milligrams a yield. So that's a lot of hurt juice. And the problem is that most bites will go untreated or they will go unrecorded. Or the ones that are recorded, they don't get antivenom in time. Antivenom is really like at a shortage. It's really hard to get in Africa, where this snake is from. So this guy attributes to a lot of death in Africa. I mean, I don't have the exact number of how many people die per year, but we know that it is number one. Now, another big thing with this snake is the delivery system, the fangs, okay? They don't have a monster fang like a gaboon, but they do have a good sized fang. And they have the capability of repeated strikes and burying deep into tissue, okay? They're not huge like a gaboon fang, but they get the job done. They can bury deep into tissue. So fangs are moderate, but one of the big things about these guys, the mortality rate. You know, and it's because of the shortage of antivenom. It's got a lot to do with there's no antivenom over there, and that's just crazy. But another factor that makes this guy number 2 on our list is his temperament, okay? The puff adder is a cheeky little guy. These snakes behave badly. They don't tolerate anything. They'll hold their ground, repeated strikes, they'll ambush strike. A lot of bites are people that don't see this snake because of its cryptic coloration, and they get close to it and they get popped. And not only does the snake have a cryptic coloration, it's got a chemical crypsis, which is just crazy. This snake can hide its smell. So they're hard to detect, and they're really good at hiding. And they're also sizable. Puffs get pretty damn big, okay? I mean, this is a pretty good size one. This is about a 4-foot female, but she'll get bigger. This snake might hit 5 foot, you know? And she's only, well, see, she's 5 years old this year. This will be her 2nd litter. But let me tell you something, the puff adder, this snake is no joke. If you don't die, you're gonna lose a limb. That's horrible. And if you don't lose a limb, you're going to get disfigured. Any bite with a puff adder is damaging. There's no way around it. But we don't want to stress her too much. She is gravid. We are expecting babies from her this season. But the puff adder, number 2 on the 5 deadliest vipers in the world. Number 1 coming up. And number 1 of the top 5 deadliest vipers on earth is the Bushmaster. And we got them in all shapes and sizes. So let's get this boy's daddy out and talk about it. Okay, y'all, number 1 on the list of the top 5 deadliest vipers in the world. By our estimation, it's this animal right here, the Bushmaster, the Lachesis species. Now, this species here happens to be Lachesis stenophrys, and this is a pretty good sized adult male. He's about a 7-footer, and he's a big, healthy, girthy boy, and we're just trying to get him to settle in and behave a little bit and keep him from moving around a whole bunch so we can keep him in frame. But it's hard to control these guys. When they get set to where they want to go, that's just where they're going. But anyways, now range. When it comes to range of the Bushmaster, okay, this guy ranges all the way from Costa Rica down into South America. Now there's a few different subspecies of Lachesis. Now this is the Lachesis stenophrys, but we have the Lachesis melanocephala, which is also a native to Costa Rica, along with the Lachesis stenophrys. And then as we get down into South America, we get into the Muda species, Lachesis Muda, which has a couple of different little branches of Muda. The Muda rambiata, the Muda. There's several of them. But what makes this guy the major player on the list, let me tell you. I work with these things on a daily basis, and not just a couple of them. We have about 30 of them, okay? I've worked with this animal for 20 years plus. We've bred them a bunch of times. I mean, we know this animal intimately, okay? Now, its range is pretty widespread, but as far as range and coming into contact with people, this snake doesn't come into contact with people too often, okay? So the thing is it's blamed for a lot of snake bites, okay? Most of your Bothrops bites that occur down in Central South America are all blamed on the Bushmaster. But in reality, it's usually a Bothrops bite. But there are some big reasons we'll put this guy at number 1, and we're going to hit them, okay? But let me tell you something. This guy is a serious player. When it comes to venom and venom yield and how much venom they put out, even though the venom may not be as potent as some of the other Central and South American species, it's the amount of venom that they put out. And there's not a whole lot known about Lachesis venom to begin with, because these guys don't do good getting necked and getting venom extracted. They don't do good in captivity too often. They take a special kind of care, which we've unlocked some of their secrets here at Venomcentral, and we're pretty good at taking care of these guys, and we're pretty good at breeding them. But not a lot is known about the venom of the Lachesis. But I'll tell you what we do know is that it's got some neurotoxic components. It's hemorrhagic. It's also a procoagulant. Bites are 92% fatal. That's one of the big things that puts this guy as number 1 on the most dangerous viper in the world list. I mean, 92% fatal. That's with antivenom. And now this ain't just a number I'm throwing out there. This is the true number, okay, of authenticated bites. Authenticated bites. I mean, there's no way getting around that. 92%. And that was the most updated recent study done. It used to be like 80 to 81%. It's up to 92. That's huge. And that's, that's a mortality rate. That's with antivenom. Now this study, it was actually done in several different countries, okay? The Bushmasters from Costa Rica, from French Guiana, from Brazil, from Colombia, from Venezuela. So that's encumbering several species. That's encumbering the melanocephala, the stenophrys, the Muda. All of them are bad, with a venom yield reaching, starting at like 400 to 1,900 milligrams. That's massive. That's a whole lot of hurt juice. And there's still so much we don't know about the venom of this animal. And he's actually behaving like a pretty good boy today. Okay, now the delivery system of this guy. Now the delivery system, it's no joke. Bushmasters have massive fangs. They're not quite as massive as your Bothrop species, but they have big fangs, okay? And the thing is Bushmasters usually bite and hang on, so they're given a very large dose. So the delivery system is second to none. Big fangs, widespread, but the mortality rate is through the roof. Even with antivenom, 92% of this snake's victims die. So that's a big one, okay? Now, let me tell you the temperament. The temperament of the Bushmaster. Now, I know this all too well. I work with these things on a daily basis. And it can depend on the individual animal, but mostly it depends on the species of Bushmaster. Now, the Lachesis stenophrys, I've got some that are, this snake is well behaved. This snake's not bad, but it depends on what time of day it is, okay? If I go anywhere near this snake after dark, when it's in feeding mode, it's a different animal. It is food aggressive, heat-seeking missile. And in the wild, these snakes have a total different attitude. I watched a video not too long ago that I just discovered on YouTube. Actually, somebody sent it to me, okay? But let me tell you something. A guy was monkeying around with a Lachesis Muda crossing the road, and I never seen anything like it. This snake must have struck at him 25 times, coming straight at him, jumping, propelling itself off this dirt road at this man. And this man had a big long stick in his hand, and he was monkeying with it. And this snake just kept coming. It was crazy. And I'm trying to find that video again so I can put a link to it. It was wild. But they have a habit of explosion. Out of nowhere. They go from dead still to explode. And it's got a lot to do with feeding behavior. Now, there's a lot of stuff, oh, Bushmasters chase you, this and that. I've had several Bushmasters advance on me and not stop, just keep coming. I mean, periscoping off the ground, literally head bobbing, thermal bobbing, and coming right at me. Not striking, just coming at me. And it's a curiosity thing. They're trying to figure out what I am, how big I am I a prey item, or am I something that they need to protect themselves from? Okay, so they can be aggressive. 90% of the time, they're going to act like this, but it's that 10% that is unpredictable. These things have the capability of explosion, and the strike is blinding fast, okay? And they mean it. You're not going to get a dry bite from a Bushmaster. Every strike is intentional. They mean business, okay? And at 92% death rate, even with antivenom, you can't afford a bite. You're lucky to survive a bite from a Lachesis. But I'm going to tell you guys, they're supposedly not as toxic as some of the other Central South American species. But like I said, there's a lot that we don't know about the Lachesis venom yet. But we do know of the 92% authenticated death rate. And that's crazy. That's what puts this guy as number 1 on the 5 most deadliest vipers in the world list. And he's motion. He wants to move. Let's try to spin him around here. And you notice I got my barrier up here because I'm trying to block my heat signature. Everything that a Bushmaster does is heat related. That's why we're going to shoot this guy fast and get this clip over with quickly, because if it gets a little too warm, I'm getting a little too warm, he's going to pick up a heat signature on me and decide that, okay, that's something I might want to bite. Okay? Everything is heat related. Nothing, no other pit viper in the world has better heat sensory pits and the capability. Okay, oh, no, see there? Now he's picking up on me. Now he's picking up on me. You see that? He's just picked up a heat signature on me. And see how he's dead focused on me now. Now, I'm going to need to readjust myself. It's okay, baby. I got him. Because nothing has a better sensory than a Bushmaster. These guys are heat-seeking missiles. Everything they do is heat-driven. These things are remarkable. This is my snake. I consider the Bushmaster my snake because this is what I work with daily. This is my passion. These are the animals that I love. But see that? How he's just stopped, and now the behavior is, okay, there's something big and hot over there, and I'm not going to be crawling around here. I'm going to stay focused on that. He's actually picked up a heat signature on me, and he is ready to make a move, okay? So we're not going to take any more liberties with this big guy. We're going to put him back in the can, okay? But number 5 of the deadliest vipers in the world, the snake that we believe holds number 1 in that spot is the Lachesis, the Bushmaster. The biggest, the baddest viper on earth. Right there, you guys. This is Venomcentral. Our top 5, our number 1 is the Bushmaster. Hey guys, top 5 of the deadliest vipers in the world. Let's pull their fangs out and let's just show you the delivery system. Now these ain't fangs from different size animals. I've chosen fangs from all animals around the same size. I got jars of them. I've been collecting them for 35 years. So I've selected fangs from everybody in this video, okay? So we can compare fang size and the true fang size of animals that are all of similar size. So let's get with it. We're gonna pull out some fangs and check them out. Okay, so let's do our fang comparison. Now, I'm gonna go from number 5 all the way on up to number 1. Okay, we're gonna start out with, this is our Neotropical Rattlesnake. Now, this is a fang from a pretty sizable Neotropical Rattlesnake. I mean, that's about a 4 to 5 foot Neotrop. And you can see the size of that fang compared to, now he's number 5, compared to number 4, the Gaboon Viper. Look at this thing. This thing is massive. It is a monster of a fang. That fang right there is over an inch long. But moving up to number 3, now look at this fang. This is what's interesting. This is why I always say, you know, Bothrops, especially your lance-headed species, they have monster fangs. That is an actual fang from our 6-foot Bothrops Lachesis. And just to show you, everybody thinks that the Bushmasters have like the largest fang. I'm gonna tell you, it's not true. When it comes to Central South American species, Bothrops blow them out of the water. Look at this. That's your Bushmaster fang right there. That's number 1. And then, you know, of course, number 2, your puff adder. So, snakes in the same region. I mean, look at the puff adder compared to the Gaboon. The Gaboon is much bigger, but the puff adder is still shaped like the Gaboon fang, but the puff adder is, I mean, he's definitely responsible for a lot more deaths. And he's actually got a hotter venom than the Gaboon. But look at the Bothrops compared to the Bushmaster. Now, the Bushmaster has a much higher death rate, you know, according to, you know, bite per bite, but the Bothrops bite way more many people. But look at the size of that. That's remarkable. And look at the shape. It's dagger-like. The African species, their fangs are very similar. Look at the fangs of your Central and South American species. They are very similar in shape, but the Bothrops actually have it when it comes to delivery system. But 92% death rate even with antivenom. I mean, and those are verified Bushmaster bites. So that's what makes our Bushmaster number 1 on the top 5 deadliest vipers in the world list. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this. And if you're new to the channel, come on back. Hit the V logo and subscribe now. This is Willie from Venomcentral checking out. Later.